Hey, what's going on? I'm Dylan with Atomic Radio. We are starting a podcast here called Morning Koffee. This is
Drew Englehart.
I'm Mikey.
These are my co-hosts. They are awesome people, and that's why they're here with us today. So moving forward, we're gonna, keep it live and keep it fresh. Mostly talking about music and the things that we have going on, because there's a lot of that. But we'll definitely be touching on a lot of topics that aren't about music, but we all think are important. So
Awesome. For me, doing this podcast, I've been wanting to do a podcast for a long time. Various reasons, I'd say, self-interest, just like promoting myself, learning, about all kinds of things. This one in particular, I think it was a kind of a way for me to kind of get my foot in the door in the music scene in one form or shape, form or fashion, some way. I know that I have a lot of passion for the music, and whether it's promoting shows with you, or whether it's management or looking for talent, I know that I want to be a part of it, and I know that what the music scene's done for me so far with presenting me with connections. I know that it's going to happen probably through this podcast, and I'm excited to do it with you guys.
Yeah, I feel the same. For me, doing the podcast is more about, for me, is shining light on everyone in the underground. I feel like they don't get enough credit, and going out and finding those people and bringing them to light through this, I think that's a lot of meaning to me. I think they deserve credit, and finding them and shining light on them and bringing them on here. That's what I'm here for.
yeah, and that's definitely something we'll be doing, because obviously that's the whole, premise of the radio station, is to bring the underground community together, so that way we're able to, give a platform to not only show people the music, but also have all of the artists come together and their reach becomes their reach. So that way one person shares, they're sharing for everyone. And then on top of that, obviously I'm out there doing a whole lot of promotion, paid advertisement and things like that for the radio station that help out the artist. And that's just the way it goes. And we'll definitely be planning on bringing artists onto the radio station, especially as we bring them in for shows, because we definitely have a lot of big announcements coming soon, which we won't, get too much into now, because they obviously haven't been announced yet for a reason. But I think one thing we will be doing on this is we will be, teasing, if you watch this, you'll definitely get those announcements sooner than you would if you just followed us on our socials. We'll definitely drop that, here first and then on the station. So that way, you guys, if you do watch our podcast, that you'll be getting, head of the game as far as what we have coming up, which is some pretty cool stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I guess, Dylan, tell us, how did you get into, the music scene? I know you told me a couple weeks ago that you've been into the EDM scene, bass music scene for a couple,
Probably
over a decade,
2008 or
okay, yeah, so a decade and a half.
Like Benny Benassi and then Rusko. The first song that really ever blew my mind and was like, this is how music should be made forever, was Rusko. Pro Nails remix. So that was my first one where I was like, yo, what is this? What is this genre? What is this called? So, but I mean, going back, I know we've talked about it before, but I'll just obviously talk about it again for the viewers, is that even as a kid, I got my first boombox with a CD player, and it was a high C mixtape CD, and there was some songs on it, but I would say the one that stood out to me the most was Buggin' Out by A Tribe Called Quest, which is really legendary, for that to be introduced to me at such a young age. And then, from there, I remember always I had a tree in the front yard that I would climb, and I put the boombox outside and I play the music really loud and think it was super cool to show people the good music that I like listen to. And then I look at it now and I'm like a DJ and I'm like listening to music that I think is cool and showing it to other people and they think it's cool and I'm like, nice. So that was kind of like always in me to DJ, really, I think, and just show people music that they didn't know of before. And now it's like, not saying I don't like mainstream music, but definitely when I listen to music, I'm looking for music that I've never heard before, artists I've never heard before. And that's where it's like the whole underground thing is like deeply rooted inside of me, is because of the fact that that's what I listen to, like, actually on a regular basis. And like a lot of the artists that I reach out to for the radio station are a lot smaller, but I mean, we do have some bigger artists that are like Viscous, and he's got a pretty big following. He's definitely the biggest artist we have right now. And I mean, even then, like, you look at some of the biggest artists we listen to are still nothing compared to the other ones. Like, Kill Smith has got 40,000 followers on SoundCloud, and that's crazy to me because he's just so fucking good, And then, but then you look at like me and Dan Musai, we're talking about this where Liquid Stranger has like 250,000, and like for somebody in our realm of music, that is like bonkers
Legendary.
to have that much. Yeah. Because even look at like Mr. Bill's only like 80,000, and like that's still like, if I booked Mr. Bill, it was like kind of on my mind where it's like, will that even sell enough tickets for me to pay that much to bring in the artist? Which, not that he's not good by any means, he definitely is. Like what I just seen they dropped, he's the headliner for, what was the name of the music festival? I guess I didn't expect to talk about this, otherwise I would have had that. Can't really remember, but Thread posted about it, one of the other artists on our radio station, which he's going to be on that lineup. And then I noticed Mr. Bill was the headliner. I was like, that's fucking crazy, Like we got 80,000 followers on SoundCloud that's headlining the music festival. Like that's how it should be, because these people deserve that,
Well, I think that's kind of, with all the music festivals out now, and I'm sure we're going to touch on this, is, each of these festivals has their own sound that they're going for. And, that's why we're so close now, is because we have the same music taste. We found our taste. And that's a couple things I was going to ask, while you're going through, how you fell into music and the festival scene, and a couple things, as far as the underground music, that's something that's kind of always been a part of my life, like even before I found electronic music and then got into the more obscure stuff, and found my sound. I was into metal. It was always something that was obscure, that wasn't mainstream. I don't know why I felt the draw to that. If it was, not to conform, not to be, to be different, but it just always appealed to me. It's what sounded good. It wasn't on the radio. It wasn't overplayed. It didn't, it wasn't something that the masses liked. But I think that when I brought my music to others, they liked it, and that kind of was a little bit of justification, like, keep going down this road and doing that. But then the other thing I want to talk about was, the bringing people together sort of thing. When I first got into EDM, something that bridged the gap for me was, because I listen to metal, was the heavy EDM side of things, that maybe like almost even rhythm or dubstep. And, that was something that it bridged that gap for me. It was the same intensity, it was the moshing, it was the headbanging, but it was, instead of angst, it was filled with love. And I think that was something that was pretty cool for me. It was the same energy, but, it was put out into the universe a little bit differently.
If there's one thing you're good at, Drew, it's loving.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna keep it coming too.
Yeah. So I guess to circle back, more about like music for me is that, I've been DJing for a really long time, and then, started DJing as a business probably, 7 years ago. But then started Atomic Entertainment, which the idea was in my head of what I was going to call it for years. It just didn't, the LLC just didn't get started. So it's not like I haven't been doing it, but Atomic Entertainment, as DJ entertainment, and event curator, that's like been like professionally LLC'd for, a couple years now. But, obviously I've been doing it for a lot longer than that. So, but same for me, when I was younger, I was in high school, probably around my senior year. So around 2007 to 2009, listened to metal and then like hard style and Benny Benassi and stuff like that. But that's what we had back then as far as EDM, So I liked it, but then it was like until they really gave me something to show me what I really liked, it didn't exist yet,
Yeah.
So, but Rusko's definitely the one who did it, and he's
Rusko,
still
yeah.
one of the best to ever do
He
it,
is,
man. He's a legend.
So versatile too.
Yeah.
He throws that drum and bass in there, and he's kind of what he's known for. But
Keeps
man,
it
I tell you
live.
what, I've seen some awesome dubstep shows from him, and he's still bringing it.
Yep.
You said Benny Benassi for you, so I didn't get into the music scene until my first festival experience was Electric Forest 2017, and I had heard some some electronic music with Skrillex. I was a big fan of his when Sonny, when he was the lead singer from First to Last, and that was still probably one of my favorite albums of all time, the Dear Diary. But that and the Flux Pavilion just kind of like dipped my toes into, but I never like went down the rabbit hole, which I know now is deep, with the different genres and subgenres. But I would say that those they kind of introduced it, and then then I guess my taste is kind of getting a little weirder and more obscure. And Of the Trees was pretty. That was one of the big artists. I guess he wasn't a big artist at all when I caught him. I guess it would have been like 2018. I first saw him at Sonic Bloom, and then also in passing, Charles I hadn't heard of this guy before, and R.I.P. But he. I stumbled upon him there, and man, I've just kind of been over there, and that's kind of how we met. We met at Wakan, and then Infrasound, and it's funny, you just keep on bumping into the same people over and over, and eventually you're gonna form some connections, and you meet different types of people all over the world, and man, it's pretty fun. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, we probably would have been doing like bumping into each other a lot more if COVID didn't happen.
100%.
That was very rough on me in the entertainment side of things, because obviously like my residencies where I DJ at every single weekend, that was not a thing at all. Like we just weren't doing anything. So like luckily, there was the whole unemployment thing that came through, and however people want to feel about that, but I'll tell you what, is I worked pretty hard, and to be put into a position where I couldn't make any money, like that unemployment that the benefits they were giving us during that COVID period I couldn't have done it without it, really.
Yeah.
It kept me afloat, because being in the entertainment side of things, there wasn't work for me. Like there was no shot of me doing that at all.
Can't social distance on a dance floor.
Yeah, and you're not going to see me like go pick up a job that literally has nothing to do with what I'm good at, which, because I've done that and it didn't work out for me. I wasn't happy doing it, and looking at where I'm at now, being an electrician again during the day, and then at night being Batman. but no, for real, I'm way happier now doing what I'm supposed to be doing, instead of, I could have went out and found some silly little job doing something that, everyone else is miserable doing, and I'm just not that person. I'm on the pursuit of happiness. So
yeah, I think that so my day job, that silly day job you're talking about, hopefully we can make it to somewhere in the music industry at some point here, hopefully before too long. But I'm in sales, and I think that sales has been pretty important to me too. Just I'm here talking. I kind of found my voice with sales. I used to be a pretty timid person, and trivial conversation, small talk was always something that didn't really sit right with me. I was an introverted extrovert, yearning for to have conversations, and that's kind of why I was so excited to do this podcast too. Is once I found my voice, like how do I get what I want to say out, and I know that just from my interactions that I've had with you, all the people that I meet across the country at these shows and festivals, there's so much talent out there. I mean, we're all so talented, whether it's, flow artists, the DJs, the visual artists, and the community is just, it's very inspiring. and seeing all what my friends are doing, you and Dan and the Identity Group, and it's really cool. And I think we need to showcase this. I think that more people need to do podcasts. I think that more people need to create things, whether it's content, whether it's art, and in any medium. And this is the way to do it. Like, just because they tell you that you have to, you have to go to school and you have to get a degree and you have to do all these things, like, you can write your own story. And this is a digital age, and I guess I'm kind of like stuck between the two generations, where I understand the benefits of technology and what it can bring, and content and reach, and just being a personality, like how profitable that could be, not just monetarily, but in the form of friendships and getting what you want, and collaborating on projects. And I think that that's something that's really important. That we just need to talk more, and we need to get our ideas out there and bounce ideas off of each other. And this is the best way to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I would say looking at it now compared to how we looked at it before, like, the more we go to music festivals and stuff, the more we learn, and the more I see, like, last time at Electric Forest, I'm just going to go out and say it, they had terrible production. I'm looking at it, the speakers are pointing up into space, and I hope they hear it so they can do better. Like, there's no reason for that, especially at such a big festival.
Laserfingers?
Yeah, Laserfingers was cool, but he was just there on his own, so, like, good for him.
I got some of those gloves. I haven't used them yet.
We need to get that out to a music festival for sure.
I'm afraid to burn somebody's retinas.
But yeah, that was one thing that, like, it almost sucks, because I feel like you can't just go to a festival and enjoy it now, because you're going there and we know too much about how things operate. So at this point, we're there and we're like, oh man, the speaker's pointing completely the wrong direction. Like, these lights aren't even on, like, whatever. And it's definitely good that we're noticing those things, because those are the things that I bring to my events, and I'm like, this is not how it should be, so I'm gonna not do that, because I've seen it done improperly before. You're never gonna learn how to do the wrong thing or not do the wrong things until they happen. So
I know we've talked about this a few times. I know this is something that's changed for me, at least when I've been going to festivals, how I approach festivals. My first festival was Electric Forest, 2017. I mentioned that, and I didn't really have any. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what I was walking into. My friends that I went with, they had an idea of the artists they wanted to see, and I kind of just piggybacked with them and went to wherever they went. And then my second and third festivals, I had some artists. I'm like, okay, I'm definitely going to catch them, and I had to make sure that I had to be there. But now I don't have much of a plan. I know there's some artists that I definitely want to catch, that I definitely want to see, that I hope bring the best stuff. But I also don't put a whole lot of pressure on myself. If I miss a set, maybe I'll be disappointed, but I know it's not going to ruin my day, because I know if I missed it, I was doing something else that was pretty fucking cool. What's your outlook on, like, how do you go into a fest? You probably
so me and Noah say this all the time to each other, but I'm just happy to be here. And that's definitely, for me, has actually been the best part about festivals. Is these days, I could not tell you one person on the lineup, couldn't tell you the headliner, nothing. I know that I'm going to the festival. I know that. I know where it's going to be, and I know that I'm going to be there with my friends. And then once I'm there, whatever we do from that point is totally fine. I'm just happy to be there. And that's what I think makes going to festivals for me the best, is because I'm zero expectations other than to be with my friends at the place. And if I'm there with my friends at the place, as long as I don't get food poisoning like the first year at Wakan, then I think I'm having a pretty good time. So
yeah, no expectations, people, places, things. You're rarely disappointed. Yeah, that's kind of how I am now. I mean, the last Wakan, I didn't even put my tent up.
Yeah, that's been the biggest thing for me, is fuck a tent, man. I will literally just, as long as the weather's right, I'll literally sleep in a hammock or a wind pouch under a canopy. It doesn't matter. And not setting up a tent thing is great too. Man, it's just so good.
Especially when you have the bull zone.
Yeah, you're just you're out there in the elements with your friends, and you're not a care in the world. That's really what makes it the best. So
yeah, that was my first festival that I did. And I guess while we're at it, camping festivals over city festivals. right? We're 100% agreement on that.
Yeah, I will say this though, and I keep saying it, nobody wants to hear me. EDC, even though it was a super mainstream festival, was just mind blowing how much production there was, So like that alone is like, it was pretty cool to just get shuttled from my hotel to the festival, get my fucking brains blown out by production, and then they just throw you back in a shuttle. You go back to the hotel room, eat some breakfast at the hotel, pass out, wake up, get
showered,
ready, do it again,
feel fresh,
exactly. Yep. So that was definitely cool because we're getting older. We're not old by any means, but we're definitely not young anymore, and it's sleeping outside in a wind pouch and all that's great, but definitely takes a lot more out of me these days. So yeah, it was definitely not, I would have to say it was nice, but I can't say that every non-camping festival is like that. Actually, I will say this: EDC is a camping festival now. You can camp there. I would never do that, but you can do it. So
I think that I would say probably depends on the festival. EDC, Vegas especially, that city can provide everything you need to make it pretty easy. I think the only other one that I've been to, I guess I didn't go to EDC Vegas, but North Coast, man, that was a pain in the ass in Chicago.
Chicago,
just kind of getting to and from, the after parties. If you want to go to the after parties, I guess can't really include that with the festival itself. But having a lot of the bleed sound wise from stage to stage was tough to deal with.
Oh well, that was a nightmare, sound nightmare. Yeah. They I don't know who they hired to do sound, but they did not hire the right person. Or they just, whoever designed where the stages were going to be. I don't even know if I can blame it on the sound guy. Even though I will say their main stage had just absolutely terrible sound reflection. Like you could be standing in one spot.
There were some sweet spots.
There was definitely, if you were directly in line with the speaker. But even then, every so often I would catch a random reverberation that would almost make it like you couldn't hear anything because the sounds were just canceling each other out. It was so terrible. But I will say this is I'm crying my eyes out listening to Charles the First and birds are flying around. When you're up at the directly up at the stage where you're standing in front of a speaker, it was great. Yeah. But when you're trying to chill off in the back, then you're just catching sound coming from everywhere, and it was just not good, Yeah. And then
everybody does look fresh at the city festivals, though. I mean, everybody's clean and dripping, real nice.
Yep, that's man, such a different scene out in Chicago, though. It's definitely more dance music and not so obviously dubstep is mainstream and popular everywhere. But then to for us to be able to see Charles the First there, which that was amazing. We saw Charles the First, and me and Dan were up there together, and we're crying to Charles the First, and birds are flying around. It's so beautiful. And then Shaq comes on, and they're Shaq comes out, hands up, don't make me. Yeah. So we went from crying because it's so beautiful to crying because it's just so fucking funny.
Yeah, he's got some energy.
Yeah, that was so good. Just looked like an angry grandpa up there in a white tank top.
What a mountain of a man, though. Something else.
You gotta see that once in a while. And he's just throwing down just straight dub plates,
he's throwing crazy dub. He's throwing in my hometown. I think it's coming up in the next couple of weeks in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I guess I live a little north of Fort Wayne, but what little scene we have there, he's headlining the show.
Yeah, I guess since we're talking about upcoming shows, we have the Levitation Jones, Agent O, Vermilion, Hexam, Dead Music coming up, and that's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be probably the smallest show as far as following of all the people that are on there, but I think it's a really good lineup and it's going to be a really good show. Just not, it's going to be probably my most underground style show that I've done so far. This will be the first time that we're not bringing in some form of high fidelity sound either. But the venue really has been on me saying that their sound is plenty good, and I'm just going to bring in my KS118s, which are 3,600 watts a piece, so extra 14,000 watts of bass for a show that probably is only going to bring 200 to 300 people. Is going to be those 4 subs by themselves can supply 300 people, let alone the 8 subwoofers they have there already. So I think we're going to be totally good, my guys. So
are we gonna do a little teaser about what you got coming?
I think that we will, just not that we'll probably not put that in there, but we do have definitely some very large
Big announcements coming up.
Yeah, those are the ones that you guys will have to stay tuned to future episodes to actually hear, but they're very, very large announcements.
The announcements are so big they give me anxiety. They're so big.
Yeah, I think after that you're gonna be even busier.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I've already been booked to use these announcements for some pretty big things, so you'll definitely be seeing them for sure.
And that's something we could talk about too. You know, right now this is our first episode. We knew we wanted to get it out. Me being from Indiana, Mikey and Dylan being up in Minnesota here. It's hard for us to get together a lot, and I guess I find my way up here seems like about every month for the last 3 or 4 years now, and we'll try to do as many of these shows together in person. But it won't always be in this studio that we found here. Just kind of a last second put it together, get some content out for you guys. Let us know that what we're talking about, how we're going to be, looking moving forward. We're going to definitely be working on getting our own studio. I might be doing this from back home. We might be doing some Zoom meetings and doing it that way. I know we got some other people that want to be heavily involved. Some friends,
Ross of Sunshine Attire. So, and that's he's doing some pretty big things for the scene too. So he'll be really cool to have on, and he definitely has different music tastes than us too. So it'll be great to get a little bit more diversity as far as what we do. I mean, he's from Canada, so he's totally in a different scene than we are entirely. Not to mention we are too, but he's they don't have the experimental shows really that we have here, or the underground community that we have. He lives on Vancouver Island. They've got some straight, pretty big dubstep scene out there. And then, on top of that, I'm pretty sure they get, all the other mainstream type music like Odessa and Flume and things like that go out there too, that are completely, not saying we don't go to them. We definitely went to Odessa. We definitely went to Flume, but,
had a lot of fun.
It's, we pretty much, with how busy we are, it takes a pretty solid show to bring us out. We'll usually go out for Liquid Stranger when he's in town, just because he's the boss man. We gotta go out and show our support. Not saying we don't want to show our support for other people too, but also, a lot of the time when we're at the shows, it's still a pretty big business move to go out and, we're usually linking up with all of our other, business homies, ID and other artists and things like that. So
that's something that I've having to find a balance with, was I could go to, 4 shows a week if I wanted to, between Indianapolis, Chicago, Grand Rapids, Milwaukee, Minneapolis. But, being kind of choosy, picking those destination shows, those big ones that can't miss, going to Red Rocks, going out to the Gorge, coming up to here to be with you guys is always very important to me when I'm making decisions about what shows to go to. There's only so much time in a festival season. There's only so much time, and especially with promoting shows and trying to run a business, you just you can't go to all of them.
No,
maybe some.
Well, I'll tell you what, we go to a lot though.
Yeah, we do.
We go to enough where gets a little bit out of hand. Holy shit, you don't even have time to work, and that's kind of what I was saying to the people who give me my contracts for my day job. Is I was I got to figure out a way to work more and less at the same time, because I'm gonna have to take a whole lot of time off in the summer, and then when I'm not taking time off, you guys better work me like a dog.
I think that's kind of cool too, to think about. We're making a big effort to make music the biggest part of our lives, right? And so why is it that we're picking music over everything else? What is it that's so important with music to our lives that we can't go without it, that we want it to be the focal point?
That's what I enjoy. And honestly, I think for me, music is I kind of had, not I didn't know this before, but when we were at Sonoda for Tipper and just getting sound bathed by the Vero rig, and I'm just
that spatial sound,
for whatever reason, I was just totally be beside myself, just like crazy thought process. And the whole time I'm just like thinking, I'm like, the reason I listen to music is because it helps me think. I'm pretty like scatterbrained. I have a lot going on. It's not like I don't have reasons to be that way, but you know, I have pretty bad ADD. And as an adult, I'm very aware of it. It's not like it's just happening and I can't control it. It's happening. I can see it and I can't control it. You know, I can control it to some extent, but like I really have to get into a good rhythm to focus, and music for sure does that for me, especially down tempo music. Cause it's not like, you know, I hear some artists talk about how they don't listen to music with words in it because it's like intrusive thoughts and like how like making them think certain ways. And when I listen to down tempo music, it just gives me, you know, something to think to. Really, just you know, helps my thought juices flow.
I had this exact conversation with somebody the other day, and you know, like they asked, do you listen to any music with lyrics in it? And I was like, yeah, I do, you know, and you know, I think the difference. So if I was asked to define what music means to me, it's always been the same. Does it provoke emotions? You know, whether it's happy, sad, and like, you know, before I got into the EDM scene, it was all about the lyrics. You know, and they were writing the story for me. And what I found was pretty quickly once I got into EDM was that, you know, these artists, you know, you know, obviously they're pouring their heart and soul into these songs and making these tunes for us, and we get to write the lyrics ourselves, you know, with our thoughts, and everybody's story is going to be different. The way that I view, you know, a song, what's going in my head when I'm listening to this song is going to be completely different in the exact same moment, at the exact same spot as yours, and everybody wiggles their own way to the tunes, and you know, I just think it's pretty cool that we get to, you know, everybody's got a different, you know, idea, or they can listen to a song and they're put back into a place that they heard that song for the first time, you know, or you know, hey, you know, man, I saw this one live, you know, at Electric Forest at the observatory, and man, that was pretty special. You know, I think that's for me. I got ADHD too, and man, I'm driving and I'm zoning. I was traveling for work for the last 4 years, and I don't ever get tired of hearing these tones and you know, these beats and the bass rattle in my soul, and it's just gonna get better and better.
I think that's part of why I don't get sick of it, is because it's not like I'm having the same thoughts every time I listen to music, even if it's the same song. I think, you know, like you said, you write your own lyrics, and even if you listen to the same song, the lyrics you write to it might be a little bit different. So
Yeah.
I think that's what's being so special about being a DJ. Like, because you take everyone else's sound and you can remix with someone else's sound, and then you can create your own type of thing, and that's what's just so special about it.
definitely, and you know, it's definitely cool to see how artists put together their sounds specifically in different ways to, you know, make it
Production side of things.
its own story, just sound wise, not with how you're thinking.
Yeah.
Which, you know, as much as we think that it doesn't influence us without lyrics, it definitely has some influence. Like I don't listen to Charles the First and, you know, think about angry stuff. You know, it's just that's an element that's not really there for me when I listen to that music.
And he doesn't want, and he probably didn't want it to be
No.
when he was creating that. Yeah. Yeah, that's you know, when I'm listening to music, you know, I'm in the crowd, I'm looking around, and it's something I always kind of pay attention to, is how those you know, the producers, the DJs, they control the entire crowd. They're puppet masters. They're just controlling. Everybody's swaying, speeding up, slowing down, whether they're headbanging or, you know, just vibing. I think that's something I always take a step back and pay attention to.
One festival, Wakan, I don't know why, but when I'm there, like the energy is just immaculate. Like I think we're all there and we're all tuned into like the same frequency, and we're all just having such a good time that it just like we're just like increasing each other's energy more and more. So when you're there, it's just like you have a pretty hard time of feeling bad or like,
Yeah.
and it's good.
That's something that, I mean, with Wakan, I think at least for me, why is Wakan so special? What I found is I definitely like the smaller festivals better than the big festivals that are just more intimate. You keep bumping into the same people. Wakanda does a really good job of having no conflicts when that main stage is playing. You can post up all day, and you have a rendezvous point, and you can go into the pit, and you can get close if you want, and you can come right back to home base.
They don't even have other stages going during
that's what I'm saying.
main stage, which is great.
Everybody gets to show out. Everybody gets full production. They don't meter that for the headliners. Everybody gets to show us the best thing, and
it also
something special about that mountain too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like just a conduit for like antenna. Sends all of our energy to the moon, where it just gets everybody beaming.
Special things have happened there.
Yep.
Every time I've been out there.
I can't think of another festival where I've like just really just felt good energy to that extent. At least that one place is like crazy for that.
Yeah. So, both times I've left, I just felt just ready to attack. Like big things are coming. It's so inspiring being there with all the people. With the whole team there. And I would say that, what do you think that, maybe for sure, do they double in size from 19 to 22?
It was definitely bigger.
It definitely
I don't know if it doubled, but
production was bigger. There was more booths out there. There was more vendors.
I don't even know if production was bigger.
It was.
You think so?
That stage was bigger, for sure. Yeah. The whole pit, they had to push it out further to fit more people in there.
Man, I wish I would have went.
Yeah, Mikey's a virgin, has never been to a music festival.
I went to Somerset back in 2000.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Somerset was not a thing anymore. Dadsick was there.
Okay, so that was... Yeah, that was at the same Skrillex. Yeah, Dadsick. What a goofball.
Yeah, I was on my way to his show when he got canceled.
He got canceled. Yeah, wait, that was in Minneapolis then.
Well, I think there was like 2 or 3 that were like, he wasn't sure if he was going to
that was the first cancellation, though, was Dadsick.
We don't have to spend a whole lot of time talking about him.
But yeah, he's canceled, so we'll just leave it at that.
Well, yeah, I've been to Somerset, and that was like, it was kind of strange to see an all ages festival. You got people out there with their kids on their shoulders. They're sitting in this big bowl, grass hill, and
I don't think that it was actually all ages, but I definitely seen kids there. No, because I tried to bring my kids there, and they were like, "No, you can't bring your kids."
I seen kids.
I did for sure, but that's why I was like confused. I was like, "What do you mean?" I definitely have seen kids there before, but they for sure did not advertise it as an all ages festival.
Yeah, I can't wait to take my kids to festivals. Whoa.
Yeah, I've only done it once. It was for another canceled artist as well, but I won't even say the name. But we got to see Louis the Child, which was the first time I ever seen Louis the Child not play like a DJ set. They actually were up there, playing off of Ableton, and it was very, very special compared to what I had seen before, which was usually pretty special already. So that was really cool. And plus, since it was all ages, we were like part of a group where like I met up with a bunch of parents, and there was probably like 30 kids or even more. And we all got them together to be there. And there's actually a lot of stuff that like face painting and hair braiding and stuff like that the kids just absolutely loved. And roller skating. It was very interesting. That was Breakaway Music Festival, and that was in Ohio.
Oh yeah, you told me. You were trying to get my kids to go to that too.
Yep, and then we went there, and I remember I stayed up all night driving, which wasn't the safest thing, but I had more of that in me back then. And I remember my kids fell asleep in the back seat and woke up, and it was like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. The sun was out at least 7, 8 maybe, and they're like, "You still driving? Did you go to sleep?" And then I was like, "Nope." And they were like, "How is..."
They're wired for sound.
They were just like, "How? Like, I don't understand. You stayed up all night?" And I was like, we got back to the hotel. I got in, checked in, and I turned on SpongeBob. I said, "Listen, guys, I'm gonna just take a nap, and when I wake up, we're going to the zoo. So please just sit down and watch TV." And that was like probably the best behaved that I swear the kids have probably ever been, unless I didn't wake up for it. But they for sure.
How did they like the festival experience? What did they?
They enjoyed it, except for that last canceled artist where I was more of the one that was
being a kid.
Yeah. So they were like, along for the ride, and they were like, "I'm tired. Like, can we go like hang out?" And I was like, "Shh, I'm watching this."
Yeah. That's there's so many things that the festival scene has taught me, and has been like pretty important for me, why I love it so much. Talked about the love, the community, the inclusiveness, just judgment free, being your authentic self and being celebrated. That I want my kids to understand that when they are growing up, and that they don't have to conform, and they can be genuinely them, and live a happy life, hopefully. And I think that's something important that I'm going to be able to teach them, hopefully, if they listen. I don't know. I didn't really listen a whole lot when I was younger. I thought I knew everything, but I'm hoping I'll be able to teach them that, and then the festival community teach them that as well.
Yeah, I think that one thing that helps as parents now is that growing up, it was different how we were parented. There was more, what is now considered as abuse, but which it didn't really happen to me either, but kids got spanked and things like that, and it wasn't like you don't sit down and have a conversation to your kids about why they shouldn't do the things you're asking, which, not to say that not everyone did that, but it was definitely more normal practice to just yell at your kids and tell them not to do things, instead of sitting down and being like, hey, like, what's up, let's talk.
Yeah.
And I feel like definitely more of an open parent as far as trying to talk to my kids about things, and especially past experiences that I felt that I went through, things growing up that I, not having a dad, I didn't have, and me and my mom kind of butt heads a lot when we were younger. So me and my mom didn't really have conversations about mental health and things like that, struggles that, everybody has. You were just, grow up and you would just have to deal with it as it came, versus, now I try to talk with my kids about, mental health and what they should do and what they can do when they feel certain ways, which, they're still pretty young, so they have no idea what's coming. But that's why I'm already talking to them about it now. So it's not a surprise to them when, one day they wake up and they're super sad about something. I'm like, I try to explain to them hey, that's just don't look at it as you being sad. Your brain has a chemical imbalance. You're not sad. Your brain just doing the thing that, the chemical thing that makes you feel a certain way. It doesn't mean that you yourself are, that way. It's just, you got to work your way through them chemical imbalances. And I think the more aware you become of them, at least for me, now, I would say I'm very mentally healthy, but I think that's a good part of that is just being mindful and aware of the chemical imbalances that do happen, especially if you're somebody who struggles with anxiety and depression, because that's for sure what's going on in there. You're just having some crazy stuff inside your brain. And, when you're able to see it like that, instead of getting caught in, I'm having anxiety, I'm an anxious person, I'm depressed. You're not depressed. You're just having a chemical imbalance that's making you feel depressed, and you can, control that. And I'm not saying it's that easy for everybody, but I think if you practice that long enough, it will become easy for you eventually. So
yeah, well, I'm glad we're talking about this, because that's something that, when I first, thought about getting into podcasting, it was going to be a lot about self-improvement, mental health. I'm definitely an advocate. And, I talked about, teaching my kids things. Well, I had to learn it too. You can't pour from an empty cup. And, I was sad for a while, and, figured it out. And vulnerability was a big part of that. And I know that just being on the show and having time to talk to my friends, and, inviting new people on and talking to them about, what mental health means to them is going to be something that I definitely want to talk about on these shows. And, it's definitely a trial and error. And, I think that once we really, get this thing rolling pretty good, it's hopefully we can help others too along the way. And it's basically a free therapy session for me. I get to talk with the homies and talk about music and things that make me happy. And I think that that's something to be said. There's something to be said about that. And
I definitely feel like we're a lot more vulnerable than a lot of people. We tell each other we love each other all the time, and we're not afraid to show affection towards each other, which I think is, I don't really see that too much these days, as much as they talk about toxic masculinity. But it's hard for me to see it because it's not happening around me, and that's probably because of how I am,
well, and then
we obviously would draw that, You know, like if you were not that type of person, you probably would end up being one being around us, or we just might maybe not be around you, not because of that by any means, but just because you kind of attract the energy you put out there.
Sure.
So
yeah, vulnerability changed my life, man. That's when I was sad, and really the biggest reason why I got out of it was because I started being vulnerable about why I was sad, and then I started talking with my friends and family, and then it got to just be where I just talk about my story with anybody that would listen, and that's why we're sitting here together right now. And there's it's contagious. When you start talking about the things that they're struggling with, you start to hear about what your audience is struggling with, and then you have a support group that can, you're not just putting it. It's not just an idea in your head right now and you're bottling it all up. You can put it on the universe, and you can hold yourself. You have to hold yourself accountable. Then you got some other people to hold you accountable. You get to hear somebody else's story, and then you're thinking the whole time, like, dang, I can't imagine dealing with what they went through, and they're thinking the same thing about you. And you can start to live a life of gratitude, and move forward and be like, geez, I got it pretty good, and then you can really start, changing your perception. You change the way you see the world you see changes, and that's, when you start paying attention, you start being grateful for the little things, good things start happening. Start meeting the right people. You start attracting the people you want to attract.
definitely.
Tribe.
And you also you don't have to only learn from your own lessons. It's also free lessons to learn other people's as well. So like hearing things that other people have been through. I don't have to make those same mistakes twice. Not saying that everything that people have been through has been a mistake, or like as far as like a conversation on that. But when there is those lessons to be learned from other people's mistakes or lessons that they've had in life, it's nice to be able to. And I don't think that everybody's capable of doing that, but it's definitely, I think, if you can become aware of
It takes
the fact
practice, just like anything else. It's hard at
there's
first.
lessons that you've done, and I've seen your mistakes, and I've take that into considerations a bit.
Both
Don't
of us
do that,
see both ways.
There's stuff that I've done that you've seen, and it's just don't do that.
Yeah, that's what it'll keep on being the same problem until you get out of that circle and turn into a spiral and start learning from your mistakes. And man, I think it's going to be awesome. Just moving forward, how this podcast is going to go, and I think it's going to be awesome. Just sitting here talking. It's been about a little over an hour now, maybe.
Probably.
Yeah.
And and like I barely know Drew. This is going to be nice to get to know Drew, But I know I connect with Dylan on a high level, and I know he connects with you on a high level. It's already going to be. I already know.
That wasn't a doubt in my mind that this was going to be seamless with all of us here. So definitely good.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see where it's going. Should we talk about that a little bit? Like how it's going to be laid out moving forward with some of our episodes?
I think we're for sure bringing on artists. So that'll be a good chunk of it. Is we'll still be kind of talking about whatever. I'm not going to just talk about music. And I guess we can kind of talk about the part where this whole interviewing came from was because a long time ago I picked up Gravitrax from a hotel before a show. He came over and we were just chilling, and I kind of unintentionally interviewed him just because he was like an artist that I was really into. So I guess I kind of just had questions for him. So I was picking his brain, and it wasn't all music related, and, same thing with other artists too. I would say Benji Robot was definitely one where I feel like I picked his brain a little bit more, but it's like, I want to know what makes our artists that we love so much tick, and it was cool to find out what he does in his free time, aside from music. And I wouldn't say it wasn't much, but he didn't have as much to say about what else he does. He was just like, I make music, like, and I expect that. He's like totally, that, but he was
totally
like,
immersed in his.
Yeah, but then I was like, he's like, I'll watch movies, and then he kind of went in, and I was like, you don't just watch movies, you're a movie buff. So I did find out that he's definitely
cinephile.
Yeah, he was like, well, I don't really watch like a genre, because I asked him what genre, and he's like, I don't really listen to a genre, but like listed off like 10 directors, and I was like, okay, dude, you're not just watching movies. Don't don't sugarcoat it. So that was pretty cool. And and then also asking where their mind was at, when they made some of my favorite songs was cool. And not saying that that's all the same questions I'm going to ask, but kind of just an insight of why we would even interview these artists. And it's not just about the music. I mean, the music is why we have them there, because we obviously like something about them. But even when I talked to Yeti, it was like, it's crazy to hear your music because it sounds so like genuine and from like, you're not doing it for other people. It's like you're doing this for yourself, is what it seems like, and then to meet him in person and find out that he's like exactly what you would expect him to be, like just an amazing person. And just like, it was almost like his music told us who he was, and that is kind of how it is. It's like a lot of these artists are really making music from their soul, and it's easy to, pretty much imagine what they are like actually as a person. And not every artist, that's not going to go for everybody, but definitely is something to be said about the music that they make and who they are as a person. So
yeah, so we're going to be bringing some people on, and we're going to be asking them questions. Obviously music is a big part of what this podcast is about. We're going to be talking about a bunch of other stuff, their lives and how they all intertwine with music. Who we got to look forward to here coming up?
one of our closest friends who makes music is Musai, Dan. I've known him since I was like 10 years old. Same with Mikey. I've known him since I was like 12.
I was a baby.
So, yeah, he was just a baby since he was younger than me. So when I was 12, he was like 8 or 9 or something like that. So, but then, yeah, me and Dan grew up together on the same street, and he was just, a block away. So these are some people that not only are really close to me, but people I actually grew up with. So like, it's not like we were, we've been through it all. We haven't just been doing music stuff together. And then to see, the growth from where we all started and where we are now is huge. So,
and he's a pretty talented guy.
Oh yeah,
from the stuff that I've seen. And
that's the reason I'm up here right now.
Yeah.
I made the trip from Indiana. Dan and Dylan and the Identity Group, they just put an awesome show together in a planetarium, and
yeah, it was,
man, that
worked out as good as it could have for sure. They definitely, the venue, they were like, no subwoofers, this and that, and then their sound guy like was out on a family emergency, which is terrible. I'm not saying it's a good thing and because of that, but because he was out, it was a good thing, because we were, they couldn't get their sound to work, and neither could we. It was the weirdest thing. You could see the levels coming in, levels going out, but no sound through the speakers. And I swear it was like a miracle that happened, because we were actually able to bring in our subwoofers and get the sound to, not exactly where we would have wanted it, but it was definitely zero complaints on the sound. Like, it sounded great. We could have had a little bit more volume, but that was their
so
thing.
intimate though.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody was talking. Nobody made a peep.
Yeah, it was like being at a movie, basically, because the planetarium was just, you're surrounded by a movie screen.
The sound didn't need to knock us on our asses, because we were literally on our asses already.
I've heard more sound at a silent disco. People are making all sorts of noise at a silent disco. You're hearing feet shuffling. You're hearing people talking to each other, but this was not like that. People were pretty quiet and just in awe, because you're getting just blasted from every angle with visuals, and the sound was good. And it was obviously a little bit challenging because it was movie theater seating. So since we were limited to what kind of the amount of speakers we were able to bring in, it kind of,
I didn't know it was like that.
Yeah, it was all seated and
nobody talking.
Okay.
Head kicked back in these
that's right. You explained that to me. It was kind of like an IMAX type of deal.
Yep, definitely. But it was more of a dome than just like a gigantic screen.
Your whole field of view was screen.
Kind of like Omni, except Omni is definitely a dome, but not as like, you're not underneath it. You're just like kind of, so yeah, pretty close. But
yeah, so we're gonna have Dan on. I'm excited for that one. Obviously, he's a friend, and the dialogue will be
Yeah, because
Pretty
we're
good.
already like, aside from music, you're just gonna hear good conversations and hilarious banter because it's just what we do best.
Feeding off of each other for sure.
Personally, I haven't gotten to know Dan much, and I think it'd be fun to pick his brain, to be honest with
Oh
you.
yeah, definitely. Well, you can basically expect him to be a lot like me. We're basically Tweedledee and Tweedledum. So
I'm excited.
Yep.
Cool. Well, should we say our goodbyes then?
Yeah.
wrap this
So
up?
that's it. We're good to go. I appreciate you guys watching us and listening to some of my closest friends, and it's pretty natural with us. We're pretty good at talking to each other because we do it all the time. So it should be a good for you guys to hear us, and there's nothing holding us back from what we're going to be saying.
Yeah,
So-
I'm excited to get some constructive criticism from friends, and hopefully the viewers, and maybe they can give us some topics to talk on later too. And
Yeah.
I think it'll be really cool. I think we're gonna get to meet some really cool people doing this, and have a whole nother insight of music and what it means to others. And we talked about maybe even doing some shows at festivals coming up, maybe even as soon as this season here. So
we're at a lot of them, so it doesn't make sense not to have this station
What's
there.
what's on your docket this year for festivals?
I've got my feelers out to get the theater. I mean, I've got the theater going to Base Ribbon Pines. That's already been confirmed. I also have the other part of the announcement that we're not announcing is confirmed for Base Ribbon Pines, as long as everything goes the way it should, which we're obviously on kind of a very strict time schedule for one of the announcements. So we'll see. But as of right now, it is, if everything goes the way it's supposed to, that will be announced, and that's a big announcement.
Cool.
So, but I guess one thing here is we do have a lot of socials. We got Atomic Entertainment on Facebook, Atomic Radio on YouTube, and then also Atomic Entertainment, which is Atomic Presents, is the handle on Instagram, and then Atomic Radio on Twitch and Twitter as well. And we are live 24/7, streaming music and visuals to YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And sometimes we'll do Facebook too, but they limit us to so many hours of streaming at a time. So we will, only use that for like, if we have, live streams with DJs and stuff, we'll definitely be putting it on to all the other platforms as well. So, that's about where we're at as far as socials, unless I'm missing something. TikTok, but we're still hammering out some stuff there. That one's been the biggest challenge, just because TikTok requires you to use audio that's already been used from other people's videos. So then the video content that we make for our reels doesn't exactly match up to the sound that other people have. So that's going to be like a whole nother video editing thing that we're going to have to deal with, aside from the video editing we're doing right now. And we're already, on a pretty good schedule there. So we're just, as we go, things are just going to keep getting better, and we'll keep adding more. And, I don't expect that this is going to be our most professional podcast we've ever made. There's definitely going to be things after we get done editing that we see that we could have done differently, and we'll definitely, so don't be too hard on us if you're going to be one of them people, because we're not claiming to be professionals at this by any means, but it's something that we want to do, and the only way to get better at doing something is to do it. So
yeah, well, and just to kind of talk a little bit on the radio station, we should probably plug that a little bit. If you haven't already subscribed, definitely like and subscribe to the radio station. A big reason that we're doing the podcast is to get a bunch of viewers on there and really give our underground artists some exposure. So if you do have anybody that you think lines up with what we're wanting to listen to, down tempo, experimental bass, absolutely get those submissions over to Dylan so we can take a look. We'll have to go through a little bit of conversations to make sure that we are doing the right thing by the artists, and making sure that we're doing things legally, and get your songs out there, and pass the word along.
yeah, which right now isn't too crazy because we're not getting paid. If anything, I'm, paying out the ass, really trying to, advertise, and the amount of time I put into it, and obviously get nothing out of it as far as, money, which is not why I'm doing it by any means, but down the road when we do start getting money, we're definitely going to have contracts with the artists, and we definitely are going to pay all of the artists that are on the radio station. So that'll be good too. Obviously, I'm not, like I said, not doing this for the money. And when there is money there, I'm not going to be selfish with it by any means. Hopefully we'll be making enough where I can pay Drew and pay Mikey, and we'll all be making, money for all this time that we put into it, because even when we do start making money, who knows how long it's going to be before we even get to making actually a profit from it.
We talked about it for even a few days.
It's me and Mikey go over my expenses, and it's absolutely fucking silly.
Yeah, try to keep you organized.
Yeah, because there's so many expenses, not only from the radio station, but the entertainment business, and then my business doing electrical work. So my life is absolutely bonkers, and it's, I'm sure we'll touch more on what it's like to be a business owner down the road here, but I don't even feel like talking about it.
Yeah.
I deal with that every day, so we'll stay away from that. But back to what he was saying about submitting music. If you are an artist and you have music you want to submit to me, it is submissions@atomicevents.party. You heard me right, .party. So submissions@atomicevents.party. And you can send your music in there, and I'll take a look at it, and we'll get it on the radio station. Don't really say no to anybody. Obviously we're trying to stay with the whole copyright thing. So don't send me remixes. We're trying to, as now that the radio station's getting bigger, we have, pretty soon we're going to have like 30 artists, we're already at 22. I've got the 23rd, actually 24. So I have 2 to announce today because it's Sunday. So we'll be at 24 artists, and then, we're at like over 300 songs, I think, in the station, like 24 hours of music. So there's a lot of it in there. So obviously the more music the artists send me, the more they're going to be heard on the radio station, because I'm not, picking and choosing. It's just everybody's getting their song played an even amount of times. And then I guess I kind of lost my train of thought on where I was going with it, other than having people submit their music. And
I would say the only other thing that maybe we need to, if you like what we talked about on this, this pilot episode, if you don't mind hearing our voices, if you want to, help us in any way, just definitely, make sure you share this and get our stories out there, our reels, and hopefully we can keep doing this more often.
Definitely comment too. I think it'll help if you guys, tell us what you want to hear, because, we probably won't run out of ideas, but, we definitely would like to talk about stuff that you guys want to hear too. So
yeah, we're here to entertain everybody.
Yeah, and I feel like we're pretty decent at it. So
well, that's the whole thing. We're collaborating, and the more the merrier.
Yep.
And then what about Wednesdays? Typically I drop, kind of like a highlight.
Yep.
Every Wednesday I try and pick an artist out of the radio station. I listen to a few of their tracks, and I kind of just pick one and I try and highlight it, and I throw it into a short, and we toss it up on the radio station, kind of just to shine some light on some people and
show us really what we're doing with the radio station, because that's basically the video content we use for the reels is directly something that we do on the radio station. So you'll kind of get a little glimpse if you're not actually actively watching and listening to the radio station. Them reels are going to be a short clip. You'll get to see, some crazy visuals going on with some of the artist's music. And that's pretty
just
cool.
To shine some light on every Wednesday, and
we all scroll quite a bit on reels, so like it'll be cool when it really starts getting some traction and people are just scrolling through TikTok or YouTube reels and they come across a song from an artist they've never heard of before, or a song they've never heard from that artist, seeing it with the paired with the visuals, and then seeing that they can, find other artists as well just by, tuning into the radio station. So yeah, we have that where we post those every Wednesday. Every Sunday I make this nice lengthy post that I love to type. I don't mind it at all, but it is a task for me every Sunday, which goes over new artist announcements, announcements from the artists that we already have on the radio station if they have upcoming EPs that week. And I do this every Sunday, so I try to keep it to, very recent things or like I said, upcoming things for that week or something that just happened the week prior. And then the new artist announcements, and I also tag every single artist that is on the radio station in that post as well. And I think that that's a huge part of where the reach comes from, because I do paid advertisement on those posts. So when we do that, obviously every artist is getting out there and sharing that post, and then when you're on that post, then your stuff is getting shared, and if you share it, you're sharing everybody else's stuff, and then it gets some pretty good traction right now, and we're at like probably 130. So we're at 130 something subscribers, and we've been
3 months.
Not even. We're at a month and a half right now.
Oh
yeah, a month and a half, and we're at over 100.
I feel like it's been.
Yeah, I know, right?
It was late December. That's what it was.
No, we started this. The radio station started on January 1st.
Oh,
exactly. We got that. We scrambled and we figured out everything we needed, and then obviously right off the bat there was other issues, which wouldn't be bad topics for us to talk about, because from the technical side of broadcasting the radio station and then doing this YouTube, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it that's going to be we have an understanding about for sure, and that's why we're able to work through the problems. But there's problems that we never would have thought of, and like I said, that's why don't be too hard on us about the quality. We hope the quality is great, but we're obviously going to be learning quite a bit.
We'll be our biggest critics too, for sure.
Oh yeah. So as we go, we're going to keep on making it better and better. And I just got in a new PC, which I haven't fully switched over yet, but that's going to allow me to render the visuals and stream them at a much higher rate. It was very expensive expense for the radio station, and that's kind of what I said. It's going to take a long time for even if this radio station does make money, which I think it probably will down the road. But even then, it's like, how long will it take to even see the actual green? Because we'll have to make probably over $10,000, maybe even $15,000 by the time we're even monetizing. And even when it does get to a point where it monetizes, it probably won't even be bringing enough money for it to cover the monthly expenses that we're already at, because the monthly expenses are, over $100 easy. We're probably more like $200 to $300 in monthly expenses to operate the radio station. On top of the amount of equipment that goes into it too, which, we're already looking at close to probably around 10 grand for expenses and equipment, which, got a nice old business credit card for all that. But, that doesn't mean that doesn't mean I don't have to pay for it. So it just means that I was able to buy it and get this going. And, so we could be sitting here today and having these conversations with
Went
each
through
other.
Some growing pains this morning too.
Yeah.
Figured it out though.
Yep. So yeah, that was definitely another hiccup we had here. But like I said, I don't want to get too much into the technical stuff today, but that'll definitely be some topics that we'll go over.
Yep.
So
I don't even, during our introduction, did we even tell the audience what the show's called? Did we do that?
I don't know.
I don't know if we did or not.
I think I did, but yeah, it is coffee with a K.
Morning Koffee.
Morning Koffee with a K. So
Atomic Radio presents.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. Well,
wrap this up.
Thanks for watching, and that's all we got today, which I think we did really well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Awesome. I'm excited.
I expected it. I was, obviously a little nervous, but not nervous that we weren't going to do it. Just nervous from everything that goes into it more than anything. But like, I already knew that.
Well, we were all by the seat of our pants too. We didn't have a script. We didn't. Didn't prepare much of anything.
This is how we work, though.
Yeah. Yep. We're too busy to plan too much.
How many times do me and you just wing it when we're out working?
Well, that's because we've done it so many times. It's not really winging it. We're just like, like
when you're passionate about something,
it'll come together.
Yeah. And I mean, man, you look at the silly little school dance that we just did, and it was like, man, that was like, we killed that. We killed it. It was
Did you see any of that?
Yeah. Well,
dude, you gotta see.
Yeah, I'll
the picture
definitely
of
show you
this.
the video too that I grabbed. It was
Man.
All right.
maybe
well,
we
yeah.
can even edit that in and just show a little clip of how much production we brought to a school dance.
And then this was when it was all set up and done.
So
Yep.
yeah, we're pretty good at it, and I mean,
Getting pretty quick at it.
yeah, I'm definitely even by myself, and that was like, you know, Scotty and Dan are like watching me set up for the planetarium, and they're like, dude, fucking crazy here.
Get out of my way.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even want help, because it almost was like, no, I got to do this way, so don't touch it because you did it that way, and you know, that's definitely things I've learned over the years is which way things need to be done, and I will say that I've probably learned a lot from doing it the wrong way and having to be like, shoot, I had to do it this way. So then when you have to backtrack and do it again, you learn pretty hard that way. You know, it's hard to forget when you did it the wrong way and had to undo it and redo it the right way. So so yeah, definitely. I think we're good to go. So thanks for listening. Like I said, Atomic Radio, Atomic Entertainment, Atomic AV. We've got a lot of Atomic going on, and like I said, we'll be Atomic Entertainment's going to be the Facebook, and is the Facebook. Instagram is Atomic Presents. TikTok, I think, is Atomic Radio. We'll have to. That one's still getting worked on, so I'll definitely come a little bit more prepared with more information about the TikTok as that one actually gets going. But then Atomic Radio on YouTube, and Atomic Radio on Twitch, and Atomic Radio on Twitter. So as well as, don't forget to email me your submissions for your music at submissions at atomicevents.party. So love you guys. Thank you for doing this with me. Couldn't think of other people I want to do it with other than the people that I plan to have doing it with us in the future. So, we'll bring Ross in, and it'll be a little bit different when we're not doing it live together. We'll have to do it from a computer, but I don't expect it to be any less live than this. So, all right. Appreciate it.
Adios.